Hello all you beautiful people, I hope you have had or are having a fantastic day. If you're new around here, hi, I'm Salim, welcome. I'm the teenager that talks about teenage stuff because there isn't enough of it on the internet. In today's video, in light of me finally being on my summer break, being done with school, being done with e-learning, my brain couldn't take it anymore, guys. A couple of my friends were making fun of me. It was like, who's the girl? Who's the girl, man? You're not acting like yourself, bro. You seem like you are in love. That is the state I was in during this e-learning phase. There was a lot to handle. So I'm bringing you a video of what I learned from those couple months of e-learning, especially being in the IB. This video is going to be my first month in the IB. Just a little update. I'll tell you guys the truths about what people have been telling you and also some of the things that people have been misleading you about when it comes to the IB. So stick around. I hope you actually find some use in this video. If you're not going into the IB, then well, let's just say you're sticking around because I'm funny, even though I'm not. Guys, let's kick things off with number one, which is everything you've heard about the workload from past students is true. I hate to say it, but it's very, very true. The workload increases massively when you go into the IB. You have less subjects, so usually you're like, wait, hang on, it should be less work. No, it's not less work, guys. It is way more because every single one of those subjects has a lot of content in it, especially if you're taking it at higher level, which we will talk about a little bit later. But everything you've ever heard from past students about the workload and the intensity of the work is 100% true. You guys cannot be slacking when it comes to the IB because you're gonna fall behind. And because of the extremely high workload, it's imperative that you guys make the right subject choices early on, which is actually the second thing that I learned from this month. Luckily, all the subjects that I picked had some sort of link to the career path that I want to take later down the line. So it was quite easy for me. But if you're not quite sure what you want to do later down the line, then it might be a little more challenging for you to pick those subjects. So do some research, look at universities, look at some of the courses that you might potentially be interested in, and don't be overwhelmed, guys. It's not that big of a deal. You don't need to be stressing yourself out just maybe because of peer pressure. People around you probably might know what they want to do, but that is completely okay. You are your own person, and it's very important that you take your time with these decisions because it's what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. So it's important that you pick wisely. So look at some university courses and just pick out some bits and bobs that you're interested in and look at the subjects that orient around that course at university, and it'll make it a lot easier for you to pick your subjects because that's actually one of the most important things in the IB. Because you only have those 6 core subjects, it's very important that you pick the right 6. When I become interested in something, the amount of research I do around it is kind of unhealthy at some points in time, but when it comes to your IB subjects, yeah, it's worth going that extra mile and really figuring out what you're into and what you're actually going to need in university. I know a couple people that have gone to the IB, picked the incorrect subject, stuck with it until it was way too late to change, and then didn't get into the universities they wanted because they weren't eligible to apply for that course. Now, if you guys are familiar with the IB, you know that you will be taking 3 subjects at higher level and 3 at standard level. 3 is the minimum. You can take 4. I've even seen cases where people take 5. But here's the problem with taking a lot of HL subjects. You're probably thinking like, oh, I'll be able to handle it. Trust me, I'm going to be the first person to tell you that you are not going to be able to handle it. As a student taking biology, chemistry, mathematics applied, and economics HL, believe me, you are not going to be able to handle it. The HLs that I picked are relatively difficult, but there are even more difficult HLs. If you're going into engineering, you're taking physics, mathematics, analysis, and chemistry at higher level, dude, good luck to you because you are going to be at your desk 24/7. You won't have enough hours in the day to get what you need to get done because it just takes up way too much of your time, and you need to have the utmost of dedication to these subjects in order to be able to pass them properly. Guys, I'm not exaggerating when I'm telling you this. You can sense the seriousness in my tone. I'm being 100% legit with you. That is how it is in the IB. There are no shortcuts. There are no easy ways out, but it's very rewarding at the end. So be careful with your HL subjects. It's going to be my 3rd biggest takeaway. Pick your HL subjects carefully because the pace of them is immense. You go a lot faster than people taking that subject at SL, especially in math. I know for a fact that in HL maths and HL sciences, you will have 240 hours of course time, which is unheard of. It's ridiculous. It's simply ridiculous how much time you're going to be putting into these classes. So make sure you're picking the HLs that interest you, because you're going to be putting a lot of time into them. Now, you just heard me say it. Sometimes you're going to find yourself to not have enough hours in the day to do what you need to do. This is part of the IB. One of the skills you need to learn, time management and managing your work. Everybody always speaks about time management and how important it is, but it's true. Over the past month that I have been in the IB, I sometimes find myself working till 10, 11, from 5:30 in the morning. That is the whole day. That is legitimately the whole day with no time for breaks. That's just the IB, and you need to manage your work. There's a lot that goes into it, so it's one of the core skills that you need to master when you get into the IB. Managing your work and effective time management. You don't have time for procrastination. You don't have time for last minute studying. Now, a great way to actually manage your time is a planner, which is the 5th thing that I took away from the IB. If there's one thing that I couldn't live without in the IB, it's my weekly planner. There are loads of great applications online. You can download some calendars, some to-do lists for your entire week and write down everything that you need to do on the day when it's due. So for example, if I was sitting in math class and my teacher was like, oh, homework or a project due for Thursday, oh, I write it down in my weekly planner so I wouldn't forget. Especially with my personality, I forget a lot of things. My short-term memory is awful. Long-term memory, on the other hand, is pretty good, but when it comes to short-term stuff, I'm not your guy. I'm definitely not your guy. So that's why the weekly planner does come in very helpful. I'm sure if you asked a lot of adults as well, they'd probably tell you that within their work, they have a weekly planner in order to keep organized at all times. It's another great tool that you'll be adding to your arsenal. It's actually very helpful. You can get creative with it too. If you're an art student, you can design it however way you want. You can change the colors around, and it also helps you keep organized. If you color code things, highlight things, mark what's important, mark what's not as important, you'll be able to stay much more organized and on top of things. Also make things a lot easier, and that's something that we're all going to need to be doing once we're actually full on in the IB. I just brought it up there. The 6th thing that I took away from my first month of IB was keeping your work organized. The way I personally do this is that I have a folder on my laptop. It's just got year 12 class of 2022 written on there, and I have all my subject folders, and then they divide into units and all of that jazz. It's all about finding a way that works for you to keep yourself organized. And especially if you're taking physical notes, guess how many times do I have to tell you? Get yourself an iPad, please do it. Do it for your sake, man. It's gonna help you a lot. But if you do take physical notes, make sure to keep them organized. Have your binders, have your notebooks where you know you'll find them. Don't lose your notes. One of the main setbacks when it comes to taking down physical notes. In my case, I take all my notes on my iPad. They can be easily organized on my Good Notes app, and I don't have any issues with keeping organized. But it's all about finding a system that works for you, that's actually effective for you. There's no point in making your organizational system look all fine and dandy and cool and pretty if it doesn't work. It's the point of an organizational system is to make things easier for you to find and know where everything is. So if it doesn't fulfill that role, then you probably need to revise it a little bit. Guys, I want to keep this video short and snappy, so I'm going to finish off with the last 2 things that I took away from the IB, with the first being that the style of work is completely different to any other system that you've been in. If you've been in the MYP, sure, you'll find some slight relations between the MYP and the IB, but in general, the IB is a completely different system to any other educational system out there, especially if you're coming from A-levels, IGCSE. It's just not the same. The IB is new. It's different and it's new, but it's also super rewarding once you get the actual hang of it. There are a lot of intricacies within the IB that you need to master in order to get the grades that you want. So it's all about being patient. Patience is key when it comes to the IB. You'll find yourself that the style of learning is a lot different, and the work you do is a little unconventional to other work in other systems. But you'll get used to it, believe me. There is a slight learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, it is the best feeling in the world. Guys, the last thing that I want to finish off with is TOK. TOK stands for Theory of Knowledge, and essentially it aims to answer the question, how do we know what we know? Yes, it is indeed a philosophical class. Your parents may have studied it as philosophy, and if you're coming from other systems, you probably had philosophy as a subject. TOK aims to replace the philosophy subject within the IB curriculum, and it'll confuse you. But that's okay, because it confuses everyone. It confused me, it confused my classmates, it confuses everyone, and I'm pretty sure my TOK teacher started with a video and there was a guy asking like, there are things we know that we know, there are things that we don't know that we know, and then there are things that we don't know, and yeah, that's essentially TOK for you in a nutshell. So it's confusing. But once you get the hang of it, it becomes a cakewalk. You'll find yourself being more engaged in your subjects, but it is a little difficult to grasp at the moment. And if you're confused, that's okay. And guys, that is going to be about it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, I'd be super thrilled if you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button down below as well. Guys, we're on 81 subscribers. We're so close to hitting 100. You know that the goal is to hit 100 by the end of summer. I know that all of you are out there are amazing and will help me achieve that goal. But without further ado, guys, if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below. Turn on post notifications as well to never miss another one of my videos. And I will see all of you later.